Hello, everybody, and welcome back to DM Writer's Room, where we three are going to further flesh out our creation. What's the name we got for this bad boy right now? We ended up settling on something, didn't we? I honestly don't remember.
The name for the whole adventure, or the
Yeah,
name
did we end up?
for?
I think
Let
we
me see.
settled
Well,
on one.
today we are working on the settlement of Willowbrook.
Yeah.
What I think you may be thinking of is we do have a pretty pride-inducing name for our villain, who is Althander Rylus, the Sunburst.
Yeah.
That's pretty tight. But no, I don't have any official name. We just have some new information, basically, about sort of the broad strokes. That is something that we could work on today, certainly, and maybe a fair use of our time to take a little segment to name the fucking setting.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a sunburst or sunrise pun or something about pandemonium. I'll try to. This is normally how we start, anyways. I'll briefly recap. Do you want me to briefly recap just like what we know?
Yeah, hit us with that quick recap on everything.
So really quick, we're taking a party of adventurers from level 3 to a level 11, and then at some point we're going to make a little level 1 2 doohickey, like Death House in Curse of Strahd. We are dealing with a wild magic sorcerer who was once a hero, who is now a villain. That person has been characterized as Althander Rylus, the Sunburst. The Sunburst was a member of a party of adventurers who fought Vendel Oriacus, scion of a being called Pandemonium from the Plane of Chaos. Vendel Oriacus was attempting to summon Pandemonium into the world. Althander Rylus and his cohort sought to interrupt that process. In so doing, Althander discovered that this portal, this massive torn open hole between those worlds, was flooding his body with immense power, being a wild magic sorcerer. So Althander, it sounds like so far on purpose, killed everybody except for himself in the building. Killed Vendel, killed his adventuring party, and earned the somewhat tongue-in-cheek name The Sunburst, because from the exterior of a tower, cave, cavern, palace, everybody just saw this massive blast of fire, like the sun had appeared in the morning sky. From there, Althander made promises and contracts, and basically he is kidnapping sorcerers, natural born magic users, but is also the person employed by the local lords to find out who is doing that. So he has managed to sort of politically maneuver himself in a favorable way. He's doing that through his 3 lieutenants: a fighter who is an aging duelist seeking eternal youth, a blue dragon seeking a magical weapon from Althander Rylus's private armory, and a barbarian who wants to end the world and is like, I believe Althander Rylus will fail, and that's a good thing. I just want the world to end. We also introduced a bandit named Bartholomew Theckel, who is the leader of the Gilded Brigade, a group of mercenaries who have made so much money kidnapping young sorcerers that they now deck themselves out in gold and jewelry, and are the villains in our first arc, Willowbrook, which will take our beautiful little party of adventurers through a couple of levels. It looks like from my notes we were undecided on if we wanted to go from level 3 to level 4, from level 3 to level 5, probably to 5, because it would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So maybe 2. Yeah, we'll have to sort of suss that out, I guess. That's really the sort of meat and potatoes. The things that we know about Willowbrook so far is that there was a willow tree that they used as a landmark in the distance that led them to a brook that saved a group of explorers from dying. And so they decided to set up shop there, name the town Willowbrook. It is a small hamlet bordering on a thorp with a magical child a la fucking Grogu, who is about 12 years old. This is a child who was born a sorcerer and has been helping to maintain the town through simple cantrips like mending and prestidigitation, and is also gaining fame locally by being the magical child from Willowbrook. Come see the wonders of this magical child kind of deal. You have been hired by the town of Willowbrook to recollect this young teen who has been kidnapped. They do not know by who. We obviously have the privilege of being the people who wrote the fucking thing. And so we know that Bartholomew Theckel and his Gilded Brigade have kidnapped this teen. So our mission today is to at least, this is our minimum, is to just flush out Willowbrook and the fight with Theckel. Get an idea of what that looks like and feel like our party has earned going from level 3 to level 4. Not too bad. Level 3 to level 4 is a pretty normal level up, sort of like scope. I can do the math if we want to get really crunchy about the details. But what really matters is I think they probably have to do, let's call it like 20 to 25 encounters for us to feel like really good about it. Normally you kind of want to sit in that like 20 to 30 range. So,
Right.
yeah, we all have a list of names that we will use. Do we want to say those out loud, or do we just want to use those as they come up organically?
We'll cut the list. I think we'll run through it so we all have an idea of the names that we've pondered and brought forth. And then when one comes up, we'll say, "Oh, I want to use this one for this." All right, I'll go first with my names. We've got Sagrin Strongarm.
Ooh.
Next, Dovithar Garen. Third, Armin Dawnlight, which I gotta say I'm really excited to see who that person is.
Arvin Dawnlight's pretty powerful.
The Arvin or Armin?
Armin.
Armin. Okay.
Next, Gwyneth Telsier. And finally, Joanna Celius.
Ooh.
And that's everybody. That's my 5.
All right.
Nice.
I have Romagon Denrick, Halshin Thorndell, Vericon Wren, Mulgore Brentis, and Bolden Strex.
We got Mogar in it. Let's go.
Got Mogar in the mix, for sure. Michael, do you have 5 names? Did you come prepared to class today?
I
Okay.
did, yes. It was 5 minutes before stream, but yes.
That counts. That counts. If the teacher
Yeah.
didn't look yet, it counts.
I did so much in school. So first up, we got Selzafine Quistra.
Ooh.
We got Rollick Tintula, Pira Maelstrom, Grim Goldenhammer, and Lestra Fellsmith.
That's powerful.
We got some wild names running through.
My wonderful partner has just fed our cat his can of wet food, and I can smell it through a blanket from 20 feet away, where it is across my house.
God.
Foul. So we've got a
yeah.
pretty robust list of pretty fantasy-ass names.
Pretty fantasy. This is like a 5 out of the 5 to 10, maybe a little bit higher.
I would put us firmly in like 8. We don't even have one fucking Duncan, Idaho in the middle of this. Maybe we should have. You should always have to have somebody with a state in their name somewhere. So we want to flesh out Willowbrook. We want to talk about the way that this place works with a level of detail. Thankfully, recently, we have figured out about how much that is. Turns out you don't need to name every living soul and know how much money they have. A healthier cut is to figure out how many things you want the players to do, and then just sort of make the right number of people for those things to happen. So we need the party to have been hired by somebody. We need the teen. We need the teen's family. We probably want like a sheriff or a barrister, right? Somebody who works for the local lordship. And then we probably want like somebody who knows the woods. We probably want like a hunter or just a guide or a shepherd, right? We want somebody who the party can pay to describe to them what is going on, or maybe even try to like help them go out, because we just need to plan for a party that has nobody with survival to be able to like get out there. Do we want to think super hard about Willowbrook as a sort of economic location? Like, what is their chief export? Or do we want to maybe do a little bit more of a thinner gloss?
I think given sort of their smaller size, export is unimportant. They're more of a commune than anything at this point. There's a baker who bakes stuff, and then they give it to those people, the cheesemonger who does whatever.
For that to be true, to inject it with just a little bit of realism, it just needs to be a road town. It needs to be a town that is on the road. And
Which
that's
makes
what that
sense.
comes from. Because otherwise you have to sell something, or you need to just be on the King's Road somewhere. And it's like, oh, no, what's your business? Well, we're halfway between Hammerfell and Blightwood, and so you sleep here, like if you're making your way upriver kind of deal.
And for a first town, that's perfect.
Okay, so Willowbrook is just sort of a road town. We don't want it to have too much in the way of description. Is the only thing the players are going to do here go find this boy or girl? Because if so, that's going to be very long. That means that's going to be complicated. Finding that person needs to take many days of adventuring, right? They can't just be like, the bandit fort's out north, and then they just go and kill the bandits and come back. This is not, unfortunately, our level 1 to level 2 thing where it's like, kill 20 goblins, get out of my face, stop talking to me. This is going to be a little bit more robust. Or do we assume or want to assume that they will spend some time in Willowbrook post-teen saving?
I think that they've been given the initial contract to save the boy. They get to the town, and then shit gets in their way that they have to deal with to then go do that job. I don't want them to go back to Willowbrook and then fuck around some more.
Okay.
I want the momentum to pick up pretty quick at the beginning of the adventure.
So first things first, we need to name our magic child. So I have a one of two thoughts. Either A, we should pick on our massive lists, or B, we roll a d6 to figure out which of the three of us the list comes off of, and then we roll a d10 to figure out which name on the list it is.
I think roll a d6, and then we can select from our respective list.
Fab. Okay, let me roll the dice that I rolled yesterday. I'm rolling my Oriel the Frostmaiden dice. With a 6, we got a 4, so that's Michael Mayo. What's that list?
Okay. Sorry, what are we doing again?
Now you pick for the wizard boy, what his name is, or sorcerer.
Oh.
So just just walk us through your list. I don't think this 12-year-old's name is going to be Dawnhammer, but
yeah, or Armin Dawnlight. Like those ones are sort of out, kind of sick.
Hey,
but
you
they
know
are
what?
out.
This works. It's gonna be a female. It's Pyrrha Maelstrom.
Pyrrha Maelstrom, pretty sick.
are P-I-E-R-A? Pierra?
P-Y-R-A.
There's that fantasy shit. Pyrrha Maelstrom. Good stuff. Pyrrha Maelstrom. Is that... I think it would be funny if Maelstrom was a stage name. And then Pyra's real name was like Pyra Jenkins or some shit. Like, can we get a more general fantasy last name? It's still Michael's name, so Michael, just cut me off of a sort of vaguely fantasy last name.
Idaho.
Pyra Idaho.
We could do.
How's it feel, you son of a bitch?
I know.
How's it feel?
So we got.
You're thinking too hard.
Selvith.
Selvith, that's clean.
Pyra Selvith. Now what nondescript? Is Willowbrook Humantown, USA? Like, this is an important. We're about to set sort of our fantasy standard here.
Yeah.
Are we in like a majority human populace? Do we want to really just shake the magic 8-ball and pull random? Because I have a giant Excel sheet that generates races and names in a pinch.
I think Willowbrook is majority human, and as you get deeper in and you find a more expansive region, then we're going to get into more and more elf, dwarf, tiefling, etc.
Sure. Okay, so Pyra Maelstrom will just say, actually Pyra or Pierra?
Is
I
it
was saying
Pyrrha or
Pyrrha.
Pyra?
I was saying Pyrrha.
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 P with a little thing over at Pyrrha Maelstrom, who is actually Pyrrha Selvith. Okay, so that's our magical child, is Pyrrha, and that's great. We'll characterize Pyrrha, I think, at a later date as we sort of get to know them a little better. Who hired us? Is it like the mayor? Is Willowbrook big enough to have a mayor? And if it does, like, who's in charge of Willowbrook? They probably do have somebody to like make decisions. I just don't know if that's sort of a formal position. Like,
It's a good question. I could also see it being a council. Some of the well-to-do people in the population just form up every week or 2 weeks and they talk it out.
Oh, so they just have like a town hall meeting every once in a while.
Farmer Joe, he's got the best crop layout for this year, so it's just him.
I do think that we did say it was the parents, and they were like, we'll give you the coffers that we've collected from the shows. Like, we'll give you whatever we have to get her back.
Okay, so if they name their daughter Pyrrha, it's fucking, let's name this Owen and Baru couple that's ill-fated, almost certainly. It's like, ooh, you're in fantasy world and your child has powers. It's got to be like, oh no, no.
The father, Trevis. One letter off from a regular name. The classic.
So let's do like Trevis and my brain's going to Larica, but that sounds kind of villainous.
I was seeing.
Sorry to
Kiara.
all the Laricas out there. Kiara.
Never watch our show again.
Get out of
Kestra?
here.
What was it? Kestra?
Kestra's good too. I said Estra.
We'll smash the
but
two.
Kestra-
Kestra it is.
Travis.
Trevis and Kestra Selveth and their daughter Pyrrha, who is now Pyrrha Maelstrom for show effect. We've been hired by this couple here. Let's nail down town size here. I guess I'm gonna close my camera and go get the DM's guide. I will be right back.
And I'm Googling
50-ish people.
Hamlet versus... It's got to be more than 50. 50 is so small. A hamlet is a step upwards from a thorp, with a population of 50 to 200 people.
50 it is.
How many people are in a hamlet? Less than 50?
Yep.
Thorps and Dungeons and Dragons are 20 to 80 inhabitants.
Yeah, with my current setup, I can no longer pull up Google easily, so I have to go break out the old paper. All right. It sounds like you answered my question already, though, which was
No, pull it up because I'm on the internet, and that's people can just say whatever.
appreciated, but frankly disrespectful. No, yeah. Here we go. A World of Your Own, mapping your campaign, page 14 and 15. Let's see. We have the smallest increment they offer is the village, up to 1,000.
All right.
And then they have town up to 6, city up to 25. So we can either go with the village of Willowbrook, or we can attempt to be to put on our historical hats and call it either a hamlet or a thorp, depending on how we're sort of feeling.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Let's call it a hamlet, which is a step up from a thorp.
So we're talking, probably less than 1,000, but probably more than 100. So probably, I don't know. It's really up to us. We could kick it up as high as 200 or 300 and feel pretty good about it.
I think 300. That's a fun number, including children.
It's fun because it makes sense that it's a road town. It's not enough to have a stable internal population, so it means that they do need commerce immediately to sort of continue to function. So we want roughly 300. We're gonna have to come up with all those names. No, I'm kidding. So that's our population. Government of the town we have as sort of just a town hall, right? So we don't even have like a pseudo mayor. So I'll just put majority rule, which is probably not too popular. I imagine that they are probably living under a baron or somebody, like a baron or a duke. It doesn't sound like they're important enough to be living close enough where it's like the king is like liege lord directly. So we are a little further out because it might be Althander Rylus. But it could also be someone else. I was going to say
the fighter. This is probably under his jurisdiction still, just to tie that in further.
Sure. So our fighter, I will put as fighter slash, let's call it probably like Duke. This would be their duchy. That's kind of fun. Baron is smaller than duchy, I think. Like a barony, maybe.
Is it?
Great question.
I think it's, if memory serves, it's Baron, Duke, Prince, King to go up the patrilineal line like that.
Yeah, we'll look at it later to be sure, but yeah.
Sure. And then we do have defense. It has to be pretty lax. A couple of bandits kidnapped a kid, and this town is like hiring 4 people to solve that problem. So I would put like minor militia is probably the best that they have, right? Getting the people in town together is probably the best that they can sort of offer themselves. Commerce-wise, like we said, this is basically just, it means there's probably a couple of inns in town. There's probably 2 or 3, which is sort of characteristic. And then any significant organizations in town? Do we want to throw a temple or a wizard's tower, a druid's grove, or some similar spellcasting thing? They can't be arcane users because having a sorceress child was kind of a big deal. But we could have like a cleric. We could have like a minor cleric of a temple, or we could have a temple that does not have any spellcasters. So we could have a temple that is not important enough for that, or we could just say nope. Willowbrook's too small. If you needed healing, you'd go down the street. You know, you'd get on the road.
I think that's part of the reason why they're contacting heroes is they rely on the Baron, who is not doing shit for them at this point. So, no, there's nobody here. There's no clerics or wizards or druids.
Okay, so we only really have one quest going on here, and like I said, that's pretty fleshed out at this point. We have Pyrrha Maelstrom, and we have Trevis and Kestra Selvith. Now it's just a question of like how many bodies do we want in the room for this quest as they accept it. So like how direct is the Baron or Duke? How directly are they trying to keep adventurers from investigating their business? That is sort of the next question to ask, right? So is our first set of encounters in town, do they have to deal with, you know, sort of like a government fuddy-duddy who's like, no, only an approved mercenary hired by the crown can go out for this. You are not an approved, like, is that something we're interested in, or do we think that's just going to put the party in a frustrating situation?
The first thing that comes to mind is there's no whore bossing say.
Well, that's definitely our arc here.
I'm gonna say no. The party should pick up the first quest fairly readily, so that way they don't get frustrated and say "fuck all this, we're gonna walk away." First one's introductory. They should get into it.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's so small. It's all good. The town is so small.
Okay, so our party really then only needs to talk to 3 people. Somebody in town sells gear because we just want them to have that option. I'll roll a d6. I rolled a 5. Spencer, who sells the gear in town?
That's an easy one. That's Johanna Celius.
Fucking Johanna Celius will sell you some shit, my man. Johanna Celius. The proud operator of Willowbrook Trader. We do not need to think about that. That is pointless. The Willowbrook Trader. Again, this is a road town, so that makes perfect sense. Johanna Celius is willing to contract that. Yeah, maybe I'm going to put question mark. Maybe Johanna also lost a shipment and is willing to buck up some coin, or maybe like a sword or something. Some healing potions for whoever brings that back. And that will just also have been taken by the same bandits.
Exactly. That'll be the open. You show up and the family's like, we'll pay you anything. We have no idea who took her. We don't know where she is, what happened. But go get your gear, get whatever you need. Here's an initial payment of blank amount. You go, you buy your stuff. And she's like, if you're after whatever ruffians are fucking with the town, this is where my wagon went missing. So you get a location.
There we go.
To track it back.
So no idea to wagon to woods. Okay, now we need to this needs to get out of hand, right? Because we need to spend probably 4 full days of adventuring out in the woods, which means 4 to 6 encounters a day for 4 or 5 days. So this needs to get quickly out of hand. Random encounters are a little too lazy of a way to get there. I'm thinking that maybe like we could do like bandit camp, bandit keep, try to like break it into 2 phases, or we could just do kind of a quick level up, which I can tell you from experience reading stuff, D&D does fairly frequently in 5e. They'll just say, and then just level them up when they find the thing. Like kind of hand-waving the fact that it might be a little too soon for XP logic.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. To make it easier, I would say the main road deeper into the village has been waylaid in some way. Trees have been felled over the road. It is destroyed through torrential rain. Whatever it is, it makes it so you can't just be like, we buy a horse and we hoof it. It's we find the tracks, follow them into the woods. The main road is blocked. We can't go back that way. So now you have more encounters while you're out there.
So the road is blocked. Do we want to do if we want to do split locations, we can either put the kid in the first spot and assume that the party will want to kill whoever orchestrated the kidnapping of this youth, or we can do, the tracks lead to the camp, you kill everybody in the camp, you find a journal, the person has already been taken to Fort whatever, Fort Guild or whatever. You go there, that's where you have to kill a bunch of people. That is sort of the alternative option.
I would go with that. You go to the first camp, then you find a journal. The journal brings you here. You find a dude who's like, I'll tell you where they are. Just let me go. And kill that person.
Okay. So we go from a road blocked to the gilded camp. The camp takes us to a keep. That's all pretty fair and good.
The Golden Archway leads you to the Gilded Fort.
Too much like McDonald's. Road block to the Gilded Camp. Unless we want to do a pretty funny Ronald McDonald bit.
I think it's fun.
Which is something... I'm trying not to have the hiccups into a microphone right now. Okay. So we've got a pretty good layout of the people involved. What I need now is I need a bandit captain for the camp. Because we've conveniently rolled as we have, I will pull the bandit captain from my own list. I'll take my most... No, I'm just gonna roll. I'm gonna roll a d10. My names are all kind of villainous. I like a hefty name. I don't know why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Veracon Ren.
Yeah.
Veracon Ren is our bandit. I think Veracon Ren needs to be the first person that they dislike. Let's give them a physical trait and a personality trait that makes them stand out. What do we like for the physical trait for Veracon Ren?
For which trait?
Physical trait. Something physical. Something that makes you pay attention to Veracon. Because they might let Veracon go. Veracon might come up later,
Golden gloves.
Does he have extremely fancy gloves?
Yeah. I think the gear in general is finery while he's surrounded by regular thugs. So it makes him stand out when you see him.
Okay. Veracon Ren is golden gloves and finery. And what is a physical trait that either does or does not align with that?
I think maybe he's like scarred up for his physical trait. He's clearly been in a lot of scrap. He's not a fop.
And Vericon is the kind of person that will kidnap a 12-year-old for money.
That's a personality trait right there.
Yeah, that is pretty hefty. The rest of the group probably doesn't. Something that almost every adventurer, I think, should throw in somewhere is be like, this person is not comfortable. If the party takes the time to investigate, they will discover that, one or two members of the camp are not happy with this. They think that this is sort of a bridge too far. You rob an adult, you kill him on the road, you feel bad. You grab a 12-year-old and hand them off to a spooky wizard. You're kind of starting to move out of your field a little bit there.
I do like the idea of finding a deserter to get information. That's pretty fun.
Okay, I'll put deserter question mark. Okay, so we are a crisp 39 minutes in, and I have the town of Willowbrook is a road town. You were hired by Trevis and Kestra Selvith to find their daughter, Pyrrha Maelstrom, who is a.k.a. Pyrrha Selvith. There are about 300 people in town. They have a very simple majority rule to their government. They are under the rule of the Duke, who is also our aging fighter who wants eternal youth. They have a minor militia of a few people who are loosely trained in how to wield probably just spears. There are several inns in town, and there is a shop called the Willowbrook Trader that Joanna Celius is the owner and operator of, and will offer a small reward for a wagon that has been taken, and will say that she thinks it's the same people that took Pyrrha. Upon discovering that the road has been blocked off and waylaid, you assume that you've discovered an ambush spot, a place where the Gilded Brigade plans to set up ambushes on the road. Now that they've gathered all of the people they can that live in the area, they need to wait for travelers to pass through. That's just inferred. That makes sense. You arrive at a small camp of mercenaries of these bandits and discover the bandit captain is one Vericon Wren, a foppish but clearly grizzled bandit captain. Upon dispatching Vericon either through lying yourself with a deserter or just marching into the middle of camp and cutting people down until you get answers, you discover that your sorceress has been taken to another castle. You go to a keep, which is the keep owned by Bartholomew Theckel, and there hatch some sort of harebrained scheme, I assume, to get inside, blow it all way out of proportion, and then it immediately falls apart, and you end up having to just cut your way in anyways. I think we're pretty good for a starting town. Do we feel like, was there any spots there where you felt like you were missing information?
I don't think so.
Is the party going to talk with the parent? Or do they have the mission and they don't really need to speak with them? I think that they're going to want to talk to them.
Yeah, they've been hired by them, but they're going to need the information that the parents have.
And the information is she was taken yada 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 days ago. She was last seen here, but we have no idea where she went or who took her.
Ooh, did they kill anybody when they did that?
That's a great question. Could it have been during the last? The last show, yeah. Or the end of the last show. So there might have been people that heard or saw something. I do think maybe one person died.
We could have the town sheriff be dead.
And that's why they needed adventurers. Pretty cool.
Town sheriff dead. Dead at kidnapping. Because, you know what the best thing about that is? If we have a low-level cleric, they have somebody to cast Speak with Dead on.
Mm-hmm. What did you see? Golden gloves.
Golden gloves. Steel and blood. Just really vague, strong stuff there. Yeah, okay, that all feels really good. So I think we are ready to mosey on over to the Gilded Keep. Do we have a better name than the Gilded Keep or the Golden Arch? I love it, but it's definitely your rat folk. It's kind of McDonald's.
I said it because it was McDonald's, and I thought it'd be fun.
I thought you were just like the Gilded Arch, and I was like, God damn it, come on.
No, the Golden Arch is to the Gilded Keep.
It's a little funny. I don't hate it. It's just, I don't know, maybe a little too silly. We could decide.
The Gilded Keep, I think, goes hard. I think that's fun.
Guild Keep. There's the Golden Pot.
It's the Gilded Keep if this is a stronghold for bandits. It's the Golden Pot if this is an establishment that is like, no, we be a band of knights. Like, that's two very different.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, due to their MO, we're pretty far out of, no, we be but simple adventuring folk. I think it's hard to be like, no, but ignore the roughly child-sized cages. Don't worry about those. The ones that are made so that a small arm could not fit through the bars. Don't concern yourself.
Yeah, the Gilded Keep. The camp doesn't need a name. That is one of their encampments.
It's tents. Like, it isn't in any way more substantial than that. So the Gilded Keep, this can be as hefty or as light as we want it to be. I think it should be at least relatively rambunctious. We know who our big bad is. It's Bartholomew Theckel. I think that the most important stuff for us to do here is A, how annoying do we want this to be? And B, how does Theckel affect the fight? Because I don't want Theckel to be somebody that they find in the last room who has a big battle axe. I think that he probably has, like, rally. As a bonus action, one of the allies can move their movement and make an attack. Stuff like that. Is the Gilded Keep like the Goblin Stronghold that has a lot of easy ways in and out and is just a lot of bad guys are around and that's what makes it dangerous? Or is it a keep with stone walls and gates that shut and codes and counter codes to get inside and arrow slits? It's two very different approaches to the same goal.
I think minorly the second one, it's not really intense. Mostly there's a lot of guys there. For Theckel, statting him out as like a rioter, somebody who can get his people to fight well, and as like taking inspiration from goblin stat blocks where they can disengage and hide and run without getting really hit, I think is very fun. So he's like at the parapet and he's like, get their asses. Things start going bad and he says, I am out of here. And he runs through the gate.
So Theckel is a sort of like dexterity heavy leader.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And our camp is pretty well fortified. So that's good to know. So what I'm going to say then is, because we want to reward clever players, the keep is well fortified. What secret way in does Theckel not know about?
Through the sewers, baby. It's a keep. There's always a way into the sewers. And then you got to deal with like dire rats.
Fun fact. So
Were-rats.
Why dire rats when were-rats be right there?
The fucking twist of, yeah, you guys found the secret entrance. There's a were-rat inside. You hear it skittering around.
I'm not gonna. It might be mandatory. This might be where I finally get my glorious revenge. Yeah. So you find your way to the sewers. Fun fact: in medieval times, their solution to not wanting people to be able to climb through the sewers after a while was when you took a shit, it just dropped down like a channel and just fell down onto the ground. So it was just like an open hole that would fall down like 80 feet to the ground floor. Disgusting. This keep was built with a little bit less security in mind and has a sewer system that is made to be cleaned and operated and therefore is roughly people-sized. Okay. Sewers, I'm going to put obstacle, and I'm putting were-rat in parentheses.
Were-rat question mark? Now, I will say, if you talk to the deserter or you keep a hostage, they'll tell you the rumor of a monster in the sewers is pretty great.
The deserter is a were-rat.
He's bit, and he keeps, like, scratching at it, and you're like, what's wrong with
He
you?
has a
He's
powerful
like,
hunger for cheese. I will shoehorn were-rats in anywhere I can from here on out. I don't need to know a lot more about the Gilded Keep. It's hard to get in through the front gate. There's the secret sewer entrance with a monster within that is either a giant rat or a were-rat. Justice be to were-rats. And you basically have to... and Theckel will earned the party's horrific ire by constantly being 60 feet away up a parapet, like, get them! And he's just like, and on his action, he commands somebody to move, he commands another person to attack, he uses reaction to, like, make somebody guard somebody else. The balance that Thekkel is a coward, but a pretty good bandit captain is funny, right?
There's a reason he's in charge, and it's not because he's strong.
Yeah, something that D&D adventures do a lot that I don't like is they have purposefully inept people in powerful roles, and it's like, I get the joke, but somebody would have killed that guy. Like, that dude would not still be doing that job. They'd be dead. Super cool. So Thekkel is like a dangerous leader. Let's get one more deadly bandit in the mix. We could go caster, or we could go just like weird. We could try to hit the like druid, barbarian, artificer, something that's just got some oddness to it.
I think a caster makes sense because then we have a way that they negate sorcerers from attacking them with like counterspell, shield, shit like that. So when they go to kidnap the child, oh, the magic was dispelled. The child was taken. She wasn't able to defend herself because this wizard or whatever blocked it.
Okay.
And then you encounter your first spellcaster in the area.
So that means it's probably... We're getting into the real D&D shit now. So that means it's probably a wizard school of abjuration, right? If it's somebody whose job is to shut down spellcasting.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what they're doing. So we've got this sort of wizard bad guy. Does anybody else have dice out? Is it just me? So somebody roll a d6, because I rolled the last 3, to see who's going to pull a name for our wizard.
It's a 6.
A 6? That's Spencer again.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the wizard is Dovethar Garen.
Dovethar Garen.
Gherin.
Dovethar Garen.
Dovethar the Great.
And then Thekkel and Dovethar both need a physical and a personality trait to help me to help the players go, it's that guy. That's what we want them to be able to do. We could even have some fun that Dovethar might still be in Willowbrook. Right, we can try to add some elements of like Dovethar is keeping an eye on the town or something like that. Right, the possibility that after they're hired by the family, somebody approaches them and is like, I hear the Baron up the road is trying to hire soldiers. Don't bother yourself with like the pitying troubles of some small town. You should go up and look for work with the Duke's with the Duke's servants. Somebody who tries to talk them out of it, and they'll just be like, fuck out of here, old man. Or they'll want to do it. If they want to have a bad guy run, that's up to them. And to then be like, and it's the guy in the tavern. It's something that, in my experience, players are always like, I'm going to rip his face off.
Yeah, Dovethar could have a wizard's tower in the town. Or like a library, some shit like that he just stays in.
Or he's just local. Fun. They could be like, oh, there is a wizard in the area who like swings in sometimes to help with minor things, but lately he's been around less, and then you find him at this other location. Okay, so Thekkel, give me a physical trait and a personality trait.
Personality trait's easy. He's a coward. That's number one. He is the coward that we always want to plug in to each area. That's his ass. He relies on everybody else. When everybody else is gone, he's gonna ball.
And what's the physical trait? How do we portray that? Or it could be the other thing. He could wear a gilded crown that seems antiquated. Like he could have found something that he wears as like a false symbol of station. We do know that that Bartholomew Thekkel is technically in line for the throne of the
he has
kingdom.
Like an ancient sword that he wields, some like family heirloom. Fucking glows in the moonlight or whatever.
It could be funny? He has this like long sword, but then when he actually gets into a fight, he drops it and pulls out like 2 daggers because he can't use the strength-based sword.
Dude's like 5'6". He's not gonna wield that.
Yeah, it's clearly too tall. You're like, the blade is like way too tall for his height. That's pretty good. All right, and then we need the same treatment for Dovethar Garen. I need a personality trait and I need a physical trait.
one thing. The music has stopped.
Oh, it
Oh,
has.
yeah.
I can't
It just stopped.
do that. So somebody else
got
needs
it.
to hop in the line, probably Spencer. Yeah, go crazy. If only it could be City Pop.
One day we'll find a royalty-free city pop.
Or we'll just pay. Someday when our hundreds of loyal viewers
Send us money.
send us money for music, please. Okay, so Dovethar Gary needs a physical trait and a personality trait.
Dovethar Garen's got a wizard's beard and a robe. This guy looks like a wizard.
I'm just gonna put wizardy.
Yeah, he's a wizard.
Deep in the wizard zone.
Personality trait? What do you think, Michael?
I think grouchy.
Oh yeah. Who does Gandalf? Who's in charge of Gandalf at the beginning of the movies, and then he ends up betraying him? Well, the guy betrays Gandalf. Fucking
Saruman?
Saruman. I kept thinking Sauron. I'm like, I know that's not
Saruman
right.
the Wise. The White
You sort of have a
Wizard.
Saruman going right here.
Saruman the Stinky.
Lord of Isengard. Holder of the five scepters? I can't remember off the top of my head. That's kind of a big wig, but yeah, I think it is funny if Dovethar has plans. Is Dovethar old?
Yeah, dude's old as fuck.
So it's funny. So he is.
Thinks he's important.
He did fuck up being a wizard pretty bad then.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's a grouchy, wizardy fellow. Is like, you know nothing of the arcane! Ah! Just like casting blasts of elemental damage and stuff. Mainly,
Firebolt.
actually, yeah, a lot of abjurative. So it's funny, he's like, I will destroy you with my elemental, and it's like cantrips. And then, yeah, he's just all abjuration beyond that. So he's mainly going to be, unfortunately, just very annoying. It's going to be like, reaction shield. It's like, stop! Stop it!
Yeah.
Cut it out, Dovethar. Okay, so we've got the Gilded Keep. We've got a way in. We've got a bad guy. We've got Willowbrook. We've got a magic child. We've got a government. We got who hires you. We got why. We got where you're going. We got a bad guy. I think that Willowbrook has been brooked. I think we're done. I think we've
We done
willowed
did the
this.
damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what we should do with the rest of our time, we can dedicate some of it to naming the adventure if we feel ready, or we can look to our next area, which means we can look to our next lieutenant, which is our aging duelist fighter. I'm going to request that at this point we take 5 because I need to use the bathroom.
Fair.
So I'm going to mute and go stream starting soon. We will see everybody back in 5 minutos.
Welcome back to DM Writers Room Season 3, Episode 3, post-intermission. We'd done the damn thing. We made Willowbrook, we made the adventure in general, we made NPCs.
Can I say?
A shop.
Sounds pretty good.
It's nice, it's clean. This is a good introductory adventure.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
So with that done, we now are we gonna name the adventure now, or do we want to go to the next area and do a quick teaser?
It'd be nice to have a name for our adventure finally. We've been working on it for a few weeks now.
Yeah, we're gonna be going into episode 4 pretty soon here. It would be nice. All right. Something about the Sunburst, because that's just an unbeatable name, I think. Is it the Champions of the Sunburst? Is it Sunburst Reclamation?
I cannot stress enough how much we cannot name this like it is a 2000s era comic book movie.
Is it
it cannot be Sunburst Revengeance.
Is it the Sunburstening?
The Sunburstening would honestly be pretty good. I don't know. It's Sunbursts yeah, it's tough.
Eve of Sunburst.
How schmancy do we want to get? Because as far as the way they're normally named, we just pick the name of a place and we name it that shit. Or we take the name of a character and we name it that, right? Storm King's Thunder. It would be Sunburst's Ire. Or it would be, the Pandemonium Door, right? We would pick the name of the final location. Sunburst's Folly is one that comes to mind for me rather quickly, right? It's maybe a little referential, though. I don't know how much. It doesn't tell you a lot about the adventure, which is, I guess, probably like Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. You're like, cold, and that's really all you need to know. Storm King's Thunder. You're like, it's got to do with lightning and giants. It's sort of what's on the tins. Curse of Strahd. There's a curse. There's a vampire. His name is Strahd. I just don't know. I unfortunately just don't think we've built such an adventure with such an easy naming convention at its heart.
I think Sunburst Folly is a great option, though.
Good.
I would like to have that written
Sure.
as a potential.
Sunburst Dusk, or Dusk of Sunburst.
Now we're back into the Revengeance territory, like
Yeah.
I was
just trying to think of different things with suns and
Yeah.
Sunburst.
We'll go with, for right now, Sunburst Folly. And if more stuff as we go makes its way in and we're like, no, this is what it is, we'll transfer.
Now, so I think with that we should take our sights and set them on our aging duelist, who we now know is also the Baron of the local area, which means that we are going to a small city or a very large town. So if it's a town, it's probably right up near that 6,000 cutoff. It's going to be quite sizable. If it's a city, it's probably on the lower end of the potential, 25,000 or whatever people that we could be dealing with.
So we've got our introductory done. We go here. After this one, we have to deal with a dragon and a barbarian, and then the king. I would say save the city for the final area. For now, it should be a large town.
Okay. Which is good because it means we keep expanding scope, right? The area. And we also know that we've suggested that the players could go to these locations in different orders. So it's important that as we proceed, we remember that this city needs to function at different levels. So we don't want to get locked down in CR right now. That would not be helpful. That is something that we should focus on later. So mainly my sort of central question is we have a villain to flush out, which means we have some villainous questions that we need to answer. So first of all, this aging duelist needs a name. Spencer, roll a d6.
1.
'Tis me! Here are our options. This is a little too important for me to just pick one off the list. We have Romagon Denrick. We have Halshin Thorndell. we have Mulgar Brentis, and we have Boldenstrex. Boldenstrex sounds a little too sci-fi. We might have to change that last name. Unfortunately, I find myself wanting it to be one of our Sunhammers, just because, like, that's pretty on the tin. If I had to pick from my own list, I think Romagon Denric has a sort of fun name to it. I don't know. There's something senior in there.
Yeah, we'll each posit one because this is a major villain. So your posit is out.
Yes, Romagon.
Sagrin Strong Arm is my offer. Michael?
Mine's Grim Golden Hammer.
Damn.
Oof, all pretty powerful. If we want to keep him a dex fighter, Golden Hammer might be a hard sell.
True.
Hmm.
What was your second to last one, Ethan?
I'm just going to read all four again, because I don't know. Romagon Denric, Halshin Thorndale, Mulgore Brentis, Boldenstrex.
Can we take Brentis as the last name and plug that into the last one you had for the first name?
So Denric Brentis or Romagon Brentis?
Romagon Brentis.
Yes. Romagon Brentis.
There we go. Just noble enough that I'm like, I could see him being a baron, but also not so fancy that you're like, oh, he earned this position. I see.
Okay. So, questions I need to know about Romagon Brentis. Because they are a villain. What do they want? We know that. They want youth. But that's their big goal. What does Romagon want in the town? Right? Romagon is doing something. We are stopping him. What does Romagon want there?
My first thought was to be tempted to say that Romagon is not a very effective baron. He's kind of shitty at this job. He's been given this position. He's a fighter. This is not what he's meant to be doing. That doesn't really answer the question of what does he want. That's more of a question of how are things going with him in charge.
So for the record,
I don't think well.
My questions will be, what does he want? How does he get it? Who does he hurt? Those are my villain questions that I have composed, and I think I'm pretty. If I could do my own horn, I think we're pretty good. So my main question. So I do think we get where you're going. I think that maybe in part 2 we can sort of jump to that. But so our first question is, what does he want? What is Romagon trying to get? We had previously set up that Romagon is the sort of main person nabbing spellcasters.
Yeah.
And I think it might be kind of fun to build him as like a mage slayer.
Yeah.
As like an anti-magic fighter. Could be sort of a fun way to approach that. Another way would just be that he is a little bit less of the chivalrous duelist and a little bit more of the like swashbuckly rogue type. Somebody who is good at doing those sorts of things. So those both, however, carry personality, and they tell me what he has trained himself to do. So is what he wants to get a hold of spellcasters? Is what he wants to eliminate the Sunburst's political enemies? Is what he wants to collect massive amounts of taxes and money to try to fund the Sunburst's projects? Is there something in town he wants? Is he not in the city he's supposed to be in, but is in this town right now trying to get the crystal, the gem, the staff?
Short answer is he wants to expedite the process for the Sunburst. He wants this shit done yesterday because he's continuing to get older and older and older, and one day he's going to die. So in doing that, he is maybe going out of his way to hunt down more magic users than even the Sunburst was requiring. He's like, I'm going to get everybody to make this as quick as possible.
Fabulous. That
That includes like druids and shit that doesn't make sense. It's just not going to be useful.
Yeah, he just thinks. Yeah.
So
no, him being an magic fighter.
Yeah, where he's just like, I'm gonna get all their asses.
And I like that because it means I have an easier time building his stat block later, which is, it's just if somebody makes a spell within his area, he gets to, as a reaction, make an attack, and you have to make a spell casting ability save. If you fail, the spell fizzles and is spent because he just is good at that. So Romagon wants Eternal Youth, but what he's doing here is trying to expedite the Sunburst's plan by grabbing a hold of magic users wherever he can find them. Super good. It also lets me know that there's a magic user in town and that is going to matter. How is Romagon trying to do that? So we have answered what does he want. Now I need to know, how is he trying to get it?
I think he's utilizing... So the reason there wasn't anybody dealing with the missing child before, beyond just he's the one who ordered it, is all available soldiers and physically capable people are being sent out on patrols to report back. Like, oh, we found this grove where there's a magic user. So he knows, okay, this is where we're going to go next. So he is draining the town of its able-bodied folk to go out on these missions to report back to him.
So I guess
what he's doing in here.
So I guess the answer is like police state.
Yeah.
So what he's doing is like cracking down, going door to door, looking for anybody with any amount of magical potential. We gotta give the soldiers like a special dog, right? Something that is like sniffing around for latent magic, even in like incredibly small increments. Like, I like the idea that Romagon has gone sort of mad enough that at this point he's grabbing like tieflings. He's like, there's magic in there. Okay. And who is Romagon hurting to do this? And I do not want a general. It's not the town. Who is Romagon hurting directly in this journey?
I think that it would be fun for there to be some school in this town. There's a reason this is where he went, and it's that there is a wizard school or some shit like that, where it's like, okay, there's a collection of people. They've been taken, and he's using them in like the dungeon below his castle to scry out more magic users. Some shit like that is pretty fun.
That's solid. We could go sort of like small. Arcane Academy is a little too much.
Too big, yeah. This is a town still.
This would be like a town, so it would be like a smaller group. So it would probably just be like a wizard and apprentice who have been offered like, you know, you can stay, you will be safe at the expense of finding me other people. And the only lateral move would be, it could be a cleric with a great deal of magical power devoted to some god or other. But that depends on how much we want Romagon to seem like he is off the path.
Yeah, dude's definitely lost it. I think that's definitely true here. I think a wizard and his apprentice is fun. I think we could even go with the apprentice. The wizard is gone. He's been taken to use as an arcane battery or whatever.
Or
they're going to do with it. And the apprentice sold him out. To save his own skin.
And so who is he hurting is this apprentice. This is a person that he is harming. The town as a whole, of course, and like other people in the area, but there is an NPC that he is negatively interacting with and forcing to scry and detect magic and just constantly, you know, go out with these things. So that gives us our answer. He's trying to expedite by hunting magic users. He is doing that by creating an incredibly harsh police state, and he has captured an apprentice that he is directly harming to cause this to succeed. What I like about that is it gives the morally gray party some options. They could just kill this apprentice, and that would be, you know, case closed. Romagon will become much less dangerous when he can no longer divine the locations of magic users. Super solid. I like all that. We need to build this town, but we need to spend a lot of time here because I did find our original thing and we wanted to stay. Where is it? I just had it in front of me. Let me grab it. We wanted, in our original projection, we said we wanted levels 3 to 4, and 4 to 5 to be in our opening area. We've cut out 4 to 5. So that means we need to spend at least 2 levels here. We need to at least go from, to get back on track, we need to at least go from 4 to 5 to 6. Ideally, if we could go from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7. That would be a little, a little bit of a tall order. So we need to spend a fair amount of time here, which means we need 2 big chapters, right? Because we need the party to do a bunch of stuff and then get the milestone level up, and then do a bunch of stuff and get the milestone level up.
I think chapter 1, chapter 2 is pretty obvious. It's defeat the lieutenant.
It's kill
Kill
Romagon.
him. Yeah, kill Romagon. Chapter 1, I was going to say, would be rescue or deal with, I guess, the apprentice. But I don't want them to feel like it's the same as the first introductory adventure, which was save the child wizard. Or sorcerer. I don't want it to be too similar. So I think the first chapter should be differentiated.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Here's where our DMing styles diverge.
Mm-hmm.
My solution to this, I've done this in campaigns before. I'm going to put the apprentice in a big, terrible Iron Maiden construct suit that he can't take off. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. Everybody loves the arcane lines glowing with magical energy, and then it opens it up, and there's a bleeding guy inside, and everybody feels bad. That's my move. I do that, I would say, pretty frequently. I would do something like that. Like, this person would be monstrous by the time you had found them. They would have made a bargain they could not maintain. They would have made a deal to try to escape. And so when you found them, you would find them in a state where all you could do is kill them. That tends to be my go-to, and if the party really wants it, they just need to befriend this sort of monstrous version of the person. Alternatives, if we don't want it to be about this apprentice could just be weak as hell. Like, I don't know, we're having him scry, and that's not rookie magic. Is he just an arcane battery? Is he just a conduit for, like, I'm thinking of, like, magic items that I see in fantasy. Like, is there a scrying basin, and this wizard is just, and this apprentice is just chained to it, and it's like, oh, can the apprentice scry? And it's like, no, he's a battery. Like, it's so that Romagon can use the scrying pool as much as he wants every day, because he's just, sapping away the life force of this. Like, when we find the kid who we know is supposed to be like 20, they're like 45 years old.
That's pretty cool, too, because it could be like Romagon set up shop at the Wizard's Tower and has built a castle around it in the last few years. So he's been locked up in there, and it's sort of impregnable, some shit like that.
So then what are we doing in this first half of this adventure? If our second half is storm the castle, shatter the scrying pool, kill Romagon, and deal with the apprentice, in our first half, what are we up to? So Romagon must have a plan that we are stopping.
Yeah.
So I guess we can either answer questions 2 and 3 again, or we can just try to find some other sort of thing here. What is Romagon in the middle of doing that urgently has to be stopped and makes clear that Romagon's got to go? Like, we can't leave this person alone.
Romagon is sending out shipments, at least fairly regularly, of magic users towards the capital. So what you're stopping is probably one of those train wagon cars, wagon loads of people, and you get in there, and it's like, I don't even have magic. I'm a fucking tiefling. You talk to those people, and you realize, oh, he's gone way too far.
I love that because it also makes them useless, which means the party isn't like, now we have a bunch of wizard best friends.
No. It's like, I can cast the light cantrip sometime. They don't have any.
Okay. So, Act 1 is... So Act 1 is like bust the operation.
Yeah.
And then Act 2 is... God, we really are doing Lord of the Rings.
Let's go.
It's just it's deeply funny that it's like, no, it's just we're gonna stop Saruman from being able to invade by dealing with him in Helm's Deep, and then also the Treants are going to, and then Act 2 is the Treants invade the tower and keep him from using the Palantir to communicate with Sauron. We've really sort of shoehorned ourselves back in there. So we're busting the operation in Act 1, we're killing Romagon in Act 2. Who has Romagon put in charge of the hunt?
Well, I'm going to roll a d6.
What I will say is you've provided a name and I have provided a name. So I do believe
Michael.
Dear Miguel must make this choice.
We got...
Or you can read them off if you want to make it more communal. I burped in the middle of that.
Do we want a male or a female?
That's up to you. This is a poll for you.
All right. I'll give 2 options then.
Okay.
Male and female. Rollick Tintula, or we have Lestra Fellsmith.
Lestra Fellsmith.
Lestra Fellsmith's pretty good.
That's easy. Now the question is she a Smith?
She was Fellsmith.
Yeah.
No, but yeah,
Smith of
okay,
the
so she
Fae.
was a Smith. That makes sense, maybe.
Or Smith of the Fell.
If we were playing in the Forgotten Realms setting, she could be a Shadar Kai. That could be kind of fun. Why is Lestra bought in? She's being told to kidnap people in droves, load them on a wagon, and take them to a mysterious keep that they don't return from. That's not great! Has Lestra been convinced that magic users are dangerous? Has Lestra been convinced that these people know something? What does Lestra think is happening?
Do we want... This is a bigger question. All right. My first thought was, first of all, she's in love. And then I said, I'm not going to do that as the plot device. So take that back. My second thought was she convinced that the Sunburst is good through his former heroics? Was she around when that first happened? And she's bought in on his end. But then that begs the question, she knows that the Sunburst is the one ordering these people. Do we want that reveal to come to the players this early?
I don't think maybe she just... well, we could also have Romagon be very famous in some capacity. Or she could know that they're being sent that way and just trust that whatever is happening must be legitimate because they are being sent to the city.
I just think she gets a lot of magical components for smithing.
Oh, she gets regents from
she's the
magic
best smith here now because of the regents she gets.
Pretty interesting. All right, so 1, she adores the Sunburst. She looks up to him as a hero. 2, she gets regents and money to make incredible crafts from the sacrifice of magic. What do we think out of those options?
Well, one of them makes her a lot more complicit.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. If she's getting back sorcerer eyes, there's not a lot of deniability left for old Lestra. If it's like, oh yeah, and here's blood for your swords, and it's like, where's the blood from, Lestra? Like,
I feel like we have pretty solid villains so far. It would be nice to have Lestra be maybe salvageable as an NPC, where it's like she's doing what the crown wants because she believes that the crown is a hero who wouldn't be doing anything.
Okay, then my second question is, what does Lestra think is happening? Because it's not that I'm delivering people to be vored by the Sunburst, for sure. So now we know there is a narrative. Romagon is telling everybody that something is going on and there's a reason that these people are needed. What is it? Because he's having to, like, these people in some cases are being manacled and brought, and I think in many cases are just going, are like, well, you know, the word came down that the king needs people, you know. It's the draft for a lot of these folks.
I think he's using some of the truth. He's saying something that had been done 50 years prior, whenever this first adventure happened. It's re-emerging. I need spellcasters to help me stop it from being opened. You see the waters are flowing backwards and the sky is turning different colors over your towns. I need more magic users to keep it from fully materializing. It's the opposite. He's using them to do it, but that's his excuse. So it's like, I'm doing everything I can to stop it. So the adventurers, the party is still like, maybe he is a good guy doing bad thing. Or maybe this Duke, or what Baron, is fucked up and is doing the wrong thing, but the Sunburst still is doing the right thing. He doesn't understand what's being done here, this police state.
Okay.
That's pretty fun.
So we bust the operation. Lestra Fellsmith either has to be convinced or coerced or defeated, whatever that is. I like that. It's a little on the lighter side, but it lets us go to multiple locations, right? Maybe a couple of nearby townships are being accosted, and it's like 3 hours to one. It's an hour to the other, right? It's a nice travelable distance. Mm-hmm. And that's like what Fellsmith is going to be dealing with, right? You're going to be trying to interrupt that process. We're going to have to flesh that out more, probably maybe later. I'm looking at our time and trying to do some math. And then you got to kill Romagon. You got to storm the keep. You got to find, I think we probably find the body of the initial wizard, like he had been used up. He had aged into his death by being used as like an arcane battery. And then we find the apprentice much older than he ought to be. That's all good. And we've got two main villains to deal with. That's great. One of them is redeemable. The other is not. We love to see it. Also, this folds in well to our scaling CR. If this is the first place they go, everything is really normal. If this is the last place that they go, then like it's just elves, because all elves have cantrips at level 0. Like it's just elves on the carts. The people who are showing up to volunteer are terrified, and they're like, they've taken every wizard and everybody else that we have. I guess if my ability to cast darkness once a day will save the city. The people that are there to help are there out of desperation, and Lestra at that point is powerful, is creating like incredible things, is helping, with what she believes is the most important. I like the idea that she is more bought in the later we arrive.
Yeah.
So what in particular are we interrupting? What do we want it to be specific? Do we want Lestra to be trying to do something? Like, is there a particular person? I don't know. We can't have too many quests that are save the NPC. We just can't. Yeah. It's just not gonna continue to function too well. Is there a thing she's looking for? Can we MacGuffin it? Like,
that'd be pretty fun if she is out on the road in one of those smaller towns in the baronies. But what could she possibly want? That's the big question. Because her and the Baron together have a pretty good hold on collecting magic users. What would she be looking for?
It would be like the scepter of good wizard Dietrich, who died in the year 850, right? It would be an item. Or it could be a plot, like a plan. It could be... I don't know. I'm having trouble finding it. A plot, a plan. It could be like the disseminating of information that would lead more people to believe her. It could be, something a little bit more on the nose nefarious.
I do like the idea of it being a MacGuffin. It could be like, from the old adventure, there's a tale of a wizard staff that had been like locked under a frozen river slightly to the north of here, that nobody's been able to locate, and she's trying to find it to collect the items of power from the old adventuring party. Then the new party, your party, gets to collect magic items.
I like that because it gives us an opportunity to hint at the Sunburst having killed them.
Yep.
Okay. So Lestra is trying to impress her superiors, and so in amongst her other duties is trying to get a hold of this item of power. And the party will, hopefully, choose to interrupt or intercede on that.
Yeah, whether it's out of greed or thinking that something untoward is happening, they're gonna want to interrupt that.
Yeah. Well,
And
at
in
this
so
point, they
doing,
know.
discover, yeah, it's like this some bad shit's happening. A young boy was kidnapped by bandits under the Baron's command. They know that, so whatever's happening is not.
Okay, so that's pretty good, and I don't have any issues with that. And then Kill Romagon is a little bit more straightforward. It's just trying to kill a very powerful fighter in his cool tower. Like, that's just going to be hard for boring reasons. Like, you got to get in, you got to do the thing. It's another sewer. There's more where at.
Oh shit!
There's 3 this
infested.
time. They're like, did you see my brother Demetrius? He lives out west. Near the town of Willowbrook. Is he all right? Hey, what's that in your bag? It's bleeding. No, yeah, okay. So I think that's a pretty good sort of early lineup. We're cooking. We got 21 minutes left in the tank. We're going. What do we want to focus on here in a town that needs a name? Whoops.
I think I would like to briefly touch on our next areas to get a nice understanding of where we might be heading off to next. We've got the dragon.
Yeah.
And we've got the barbarian.
You're
our next lieutenant.
Yes.
What angle do we want the adventure to cut? What's like the more clear solution here? Because we already have the most obvious is leaving Willowbrook and coming here. From here, I could see both.
CR-wise, it's Willowbrook, fighter, barbarian, dragon, sorcerer. That's the like ding, 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 like that is the most logical. Because it puts us in a situation where we can put them up against a young blue dragon instead of a wormling, which would be somewhat anticlimactic, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. All right, so how do we want to make that connection? Like, what are the clues we're going to lay out?
That's tough.
Through this adventure.
The jump
that's how
here,
we kind of got the major point before. But yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's tough. It's like a little bit of an odd leap. The most direct connection I see is the fighter has some ritual that lets him use arcane blood to power an item. And Bloodmane Grove of this barbarian who worships the god of conflict and strife seems like the person that maybe that magic came from. Right? If it's supposed to be the party continually looking for who is behind all of this, the fighter is gathering these people, he's sending them off, and then the party discovers, in the notes and in the whisperings that he has been visited by, these members of this strange cult to the south. That strange cult practices blood magic. And when they find the apprentice, they find them drained of blood and the scrying pool going. They see reference to Bloodmane Grove and the magics they use there. And they're like, so that they want them for the blood. Then they go there. And then there they find out that they're not there as well. And they're like, okay, so this is getting more convoluted and more complicated. And then they find out about Blue Dragons. Blue Dragons collect, like, people that they find impressive. So, there is sort of a
through line.
Although I guess then you could do the dragon second, and it could be like, oh, he's collecting these people. Oh, there's this dragon. Maybe the dragon is trying to get them, and then the dragon isn't. I don't know.
I think dragon towards the end makes the most sense, though. I do like that.
Unfortunately, the 5e art direction answer is just tell them where to go next. Is when you put the thing at the beginning of the book, it's arrows. And they know where to go.
Yeah, an NPC says, and by the way, there's a barbarian out in the woods who's doing some fucked up stuff, by the way.
To slide in a little tip, this is a curse that I've discovered that I have, and I assume all DMs do, which is if I have an NPC say anything to the party's like, we have to go there right now. If I have an NPC be like, oh, I should hint at this, the party's like, drop everything else. Cancel the plans. Leave the orphan. He's fine. And they just go do whatever that thing was that got said out loud.
In our last game, an NPC said to my character, I do have something I want to talk to you about after your quest. And I said, absolutely.
I was like, I had to. I was like, you're not getting me twice. So yeah, those are the two versions of this that I see the most clearly. Is like, okay, this person is using it for magic. They're using blood magic. They got it from these barbarians. We found the barbarians. We discover notes that they have been working in concert with this dragon. The dragon feels like a BBEG. It feels like the bad guy at the end.
It's
And
like,
then they
"This is the
discover
guy."
that the
Yeah.
dragon is just a servant
That's
of
perfect.
Althander Rylus the Sunburst.
I like it. And as we go, it's like, all right, there's more and more hints that the Sunburst is probably the villain. But
Yeah.
I do like at this point, it's very nebulous. The Sunburst folly could be his folly in attempting to stop whatever's happening from happening. There's no indication that he is the villain yet, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if we want to look to Bloodmane Grove, I'm a little tempted. I don't know. The setup of Bloodmane Grove makes it sound like the party is not like, well, let's go see what's up in the town over there. It sounds a little bit more like there is a cult to a god of the end of the world. You know what I mean? It sounds a little bit more like a little bit more vicious than that.
It's like a town has been razed and you see the smoke from a distance. You get more information from that.
Yeah. It's interesting. We should maybe spend some time looking at other published adventures that try to do the same thing. Off camera, obviously, but I'm thinking of like Wild Beyond the Witchlight does Hither, Thither, and Yon. You have to like go to these separate places and handle their issues before you can move on. Storm King's Thunder does the same thing, where you sort of have to deal with the many daughters of the Storm King before you can, you know, address the larger situation. It is a little bit hard. All of the adventures that I've just said have fallen under criticism for feeling unguided, for feeling like you don't know what to do next. So I think that maybe we're just sort of navigating that weirdness.
Yeah.
I have a question. It's something that we haven't dealt with, but having an NPC, or not an NPC, but a PC being kidnapped, or a
PC
few
being kidnapped?
Players
Or
don't.
so
It
hard.
doesn't pan out.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Anytime in my experience as DM, and this is advice that I've heard and it holds true, and this is advice that I would give very openly. Anytime you try to say, and then this happens to you, players get real weird.
Yeah.
Things get hairy fast, because when you take away that agency, things tend to get real snappy. But to be perfectly frank, it's just very railroady to be like, oh, I grab you, the whole party has to come in my direction. You know what I mean? You've sort of grabbed this person, and then that player's like, so I'm in jail? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. The more fun way to do that is to have the whole party be accosted by
Kidnapped.
guards. Not kidnapped. It's like the guards say, we've heard that you've been doing something terrible. Come with us. And you bring them into the jail together. The rogue sneaks away as you're being taken and then has to deal on the outside. But it's not like in the night, your character's been taken. Now everybody has to figure it out. That doesn't play very well.
It works.
typically.
It works as a consequence for the party being stupid.
Yeah.
Like, they get into a fight they can't win. One of them is knocked unconscious, and a band of mercenaries doesn't want to murder a party of adventurers. They grab that guy and drag him and say, "Bring 10,000 gold to the park bench tomorrow night, or I'm gonna bring you your friend's fucking head, bro."
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of the layout there. Kidnapping the whole party is mainly a problem because, and I can tell you as somebody who designs a lot of adventures, if you get 5 people in the stronghold of the bad guy, they don't leave. They don't win. And D&D has too many rules for us to be like, yeah, but like they'll get out. Like, we're not playing Fantasy Flight Star Wars where it's like you can it's where it's like you'll find your way out. D&D is like the spell has a radius and a range and distance, and you need one hand free or your spell components. If 5 people get locked up without their gear, they're dead.
Yeah.
Unless you start bending rules real hard, which can get a little odd.
Okay.
So I guess just a little moment of masterclass there.
DM corner.
Yes. Bloodmane Grove, though. Gosh, I got a little lost in the sauce on that one.
Bloodbane Grove, yeah. Is there gonna be a series of towns where the cult is operating, and then in the middle of those towns is the grove?
Yeah,
where the main barbarian is? That's
because
sort of a big question.
We could sort of do some like very hyper regional, right? Where we have like the capital city off to the side, and the first region that we are in, which Willowbrook is in, is the part that belongs to Romagon's duchy. And so Romagon's solution to being told, help me do this, is Romagon is kidnapping people. Because that's what he thinks is the right choice. And so the party, while they are... So Romagon's not at the edge, he's in the center. And there is a circle of influence in which people are being kidnapped. Mm-hmm. They are then directed to another location, and as they cross, they find out what this barbarian thinks is the best way to help. Which, if I could offer up Bloodmane Grove, is to destabilize the magic of this area. I think this barbarian is looking for fanes and sites of power and killing everything he sees there and destroying the sites of power. He's like shattering the Fey circles, probably like wiping out temples and like he's breaking down the stones.
A Strahd from Curse of Strahd, and who was it that was doing it? It was Baba Yaga. Baba Lysaga.
Yeah.
Baba Lysaga. Yeah, doing that, fucking up the Fanes. That's perfect. So it is wanton destruction with a purpose.
And so we know what our villain is. So we know what they want. What they want is to destroy the magical fiber of the area.
Hell yeah.
Because they think that it will be effective. Do we have one of the names kicking around our list that we are interested in?
None of my names work.
Ooh, I got Mulgar. We took Brentis, but I got Mulgar Strex sitting in the mix.
Can we just call him Mulgar? He doesn't have a last name.
Mulgar works. So what Mulgar wants to do is destroy the magical weave of this area so that the space between planes thins to the point that it can be punched through. That's what they want. Their larger desire is to end the world. But what they want in this moment is to destroy the magical fiber of the area. How are they doing that? Destroying sites of power.
Perfect.
And who are they hurting? So they've been doing this for a long time. Who do we find them in conflict with? Which brings me to the very interesting question of, is Bloodmane Grove not where Mulgar is from? Is Bloodmane Grove where Mulgar is attacking?
Yes.
When we find him.
I think absolutely.
It was just called Main Grove before.
Life Main Grove.
Bloodmane Grove. Hear me out. Pretty good idea. They're druids, but they're were-rats. Bloodmane Grove is all... it's were-rats all the way down.
The bloody mane of the rat.
And famously creatures with manes. So Mulgar is hurting Bloodmane Grove in this moment. The party will find probably a completely destroyed... Either they'll find a completely destroyed town, or they will find a town where some buildings have been destroyed, but where the temple has been taken down to the last stone.
Yeah.
And the townspeople are like, everybody who had a necklace to Bahamut was killed, and the amulets were taken and burned in the cauldron, like, of the place. And they find this, like, melted hunk of slag metal from where any artifact of that temple was burned.
That's
two
perfect.
Different perspectives. They both, offer a different thing. One of them is more targeted, so maybe it is perfect.
I think the second one, because then you get more quests, because we have to do another couple levels here. So it's got to be, please help us. After this attack 3 weeks ago, people have gone missing. Items of power are now gone from us. We've lost our ability to keep blank at bay. Whatever the fuck. And
so I think we should just do the same thing again. Bloodmane Grove Do we want to try to split it into two distinct adventures, or is it just you're doing things on the way and then kill Mulgar?
I think that... I was going to say I feel like this is doing things on the way and then dealing with Mulgar. But I don't know. I'm worried that that's not enough for this level spread.
If it'd be a little bit different, you could be trying to help the city out or town out, this grove out as much as possible. And once you do a certain amount of good deeds, Mulgar comes.
Fucking rolls back in and tries to destroy stuff again. Yeah, but then I feel like it would be nice to be in whatever this town is called.
If we're trying to hit all the high fantasy beats, and we've done a magical thing, and we've done a magical child, then the next thing to do would be, there was an ancient guardian of our people who was locked away for our hour of greatest need, but we are all too weakened from defending ourselves. If you could go to the temple of Karlsruhe, high up the mountain in a cave of stone and steel, like, they find a big wolf, something that they could do, and that lets us have the fight where it's like, the big wolf is why you only fight Mulgar, where it's like you describe in the background the like larger conflict. So we could do something like that, or we could do like Michael was saying, we could you need to draw out Mulgar because he doesn't have a big castle. He is moving around from place to place trying to do this, destroying these people. So you need to find a way to lure him to you. Or we could try to sort of meld the two, right? The place is under attack, and the hope is that by summoning this guardian, you will also bring Mulgar out of, whatever wild stuff he's doing.
I don't know. I'm tempted to do, you need to go free the guardian. Freeing the guardian helps you reclaim the territory, get to Bloodmane Grove, fight Mulgar, save the druids there.
Okay. Well, we can't all sit silently and stare at each other in a podcast. So, I will put down free guardian to draw out. It is the closest we can get to integrating the two ideas. Free guardian to draw out. So you free this guardian, it slaughters the barbarians that are there alongside you and your compatriots. We describe this big battle. You have this big wolf ally. That's kind of fun. We get to the end of that fight. We have our big haven party where it's like, woo! Like, the drum beats go. We have our Ewok village moment. And then the big dog rolls up. And it becomes evident that the fight is not over. I don't know if that's one fight outside or if that is Act 2 of this part of the adventure, where it's like you get rolled up on, but now you're coordinated and the party can like send people to do things. That means we're gonna have to do a little bit more work to like talk about what that web looks like, but we could certainly give that a try.
That's fun. I do like that being the start of Act 2. You free this, you destroy a lot of the barbarian horde that are taking shit apart, but then Mulgar is there and now you have to deal with that and you have to go figure out where he's posted. I'm getting like, we do this thing, we win this fight, and you're like, was Mulgar one of them? And then the next day, like a big dude on a warg rides up, and it's like, it wasn't. He was not.
He was not. Whoops. Okay.
I think that now we're down to the end of our time here. For our farewell comments, I think are coming up, but that was a lot. We got a lot of shit in
that was strong.
Session.
That was strong. With a 5-minute break and getting a little losty in the saucy there a couple of times, all we have left is a blue dragon and Althander Rylus, and then to return to Bloodmane Grove and Romagon and sort of flush out those areas a little bit more. But we knew this would be a long task. If we were done in episode 3, we'd all be horribly impressed. So I think we still have plenty of names on the list. I think for next session, we've only got this blue dragon left to really sort of pencil out. We can either work from the names we have, or we can try to come up with a dragon name next week.
I'll posture one of my names.
What is it?
Selzathine Questra.
Selzathine's pretty good.
Cellophane. Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
And then it'll have to be like Selzathine the blank blank.
Sure.
Yeah,
Cool.
Selzathine, the Storm Rider, some blue dragon shit.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff. Okay, so we got a name, we got a plan. I think for next time, Spencer usually assigns the homework, but I got an idea. I think everybody bring a pitch for what the weapon is that the blue dragon wants.
All right, it's a young blue dragon is what we settled on for this. Yeah.
I can peek at the CR math. I think it has to be.
Yeah, it's not going to be a wormling, and it's not going to be an adult. That's
Okay.
easy.
Yeah, adult would be pretty rowdy. Yeah, because the top end of our level spectrum is like levels 10 and 11. And I think adult blue dragons are like CR 15 or 16, so that would be pretty high out of the saddle.
Yeah.
All right, with that, it's 8:30. I think this may be our most efficient episode of DM Writer's Room. Let's simply
Yeah,
flat out.
period.
I think this might be the most work we've gotten done in our wonderful little 2-hour slot here. I certainly had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to spending some more time in and around Sunburst's Folly as we continue to flush out this, I'd say, downright delightful adventure for 4 to 6 players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Spencer, I think you should sign us off.
All right, thank you for joining us on the DM Writers Room Season 3, Episode 3. You can catch us on this stream, same time, same place, on YouTube, on Twitch. We do this every Monday from 6:30 to 8:30. It's a 2-hour stream where we demystify the DMing process and prep, and in so doing, we create adventures and monsters and magic items of our own. Besides that, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram, where we post memes and lore videos and DMing tips, etc. It's a great time. Me and Ethan work on those pretty consistently. We get those churned out. Besides that, catch us on our website, ttrpguy.com. All of our socials are ttrpguy. Follow us everywhere. Thank you. And we'll catch you either on this stream or The Party Makes Things Worse every Wednesday at 7 p.m., 7 to 10 p.m.
We better catch you on
Eastern Standard
both.
Time. Yeah, both.
Watch both. Cancel whatever other plans you have.
Have no life. Follow us only.